To what extent are Malaysian employers underestimating the premature burnout of young workers caused by the gaji cukup makan phenomenon and a widening skills market mismatch? This is the silent crisis of the Malaysian graduate. Malaysian employers and local businesses may be underestimating the premature burnout of young workers. In the 21st century, burnout is no longer confined to mid-career professionals or high-level executives. Increasingly, young workers in their early 20s and 30s are experiencing premature burnout, often when they have fully established themselves professionally. In Malaysia, this phenomenon is frequently underestimated by employers and local businesses who continue to frame burnout as an individual weakness rather than a systemic issue, where wages are sufficient only for basic survival but insufficient for long-term stability, upward mobility, or psychological security. But together, these factors contribute to a silent crisis that threatens both workforce well-being and Malaysia's long-term economic competitiveness. However, what makes this burnout particularly insidious is its silence. Young workers often internalize stress due to cultural norms that emphasize endurance, gratitude for employment, and respect for authority. Complaining about workload or mental fatigue is frequently perceived as a lack of resilience. As a result, burnout is normalized, concealed, and allowed to worsen. At the core of this issue lies the disconnect between wages and the cost of living. The gaji cukup makan phenomenon captures the lived reality of many young Malaysians whose income covers only basic necessities, leaving no room for savings, emergencies, home ownership, or family planning. The financial precarity has tangible psychological consequences. When work does not translate into progress or security, effort feels futile. This reality is particularly stark for those living in urban centers, where housing prices, childcare costs, and daily expenses have risen faster than wage growth. As a result, many young Malaysians delay marriage, home ownership, and having children, not by choice, but by economic necessity. Despite increasing discourse on productivity and economic growth, several underlying struggles remain largely unspoken. The emotional toll of stagnant career progression, the anxiety of long-term financial insecurity, the pressure to support aging parents while remaining financially unstable, and the erosion of hope that hard work will lead to a better quality of life. A global phenomenon with local differences. Burnout among young workers is not unique to Malaysia. In Japan and South Korea, overwork culture is institutionalized. With extreme working hours and strong social pressure, it contributes to severe burnout and declining birth rates. In contrast, Singapore and the United States face burnout driven by intense competition, performance metrics, and high living costs, but often with comparatively higher wages or clearer career mobility for some sectors. Malaysia occupies a distinct position. While working hours may not be as extreme as in East Asia, wage stagnation, limited upward mobility, and cultural silence around mental health create a different but equally damaging environment. The problem is not solely workload. It is the combination of moderate to high demands with low financial and emotional returns. As AI and technology grow rapidly, young workers on their part must also be empowered to articulate these challenges. Silence may preserve short-term harmony, but it undermines long-term sustainability. Constructive dialogue between employees and employers is essential for reform. The premature burnout of young workers in Malaysia is not a matter of individual fragility, but a reflection of deeper systemic imbalances. The gaji cukup makan phenomenon highlights how survival-level wages, when combined with modern work pressures, erode motivation, well-being, and hope. While burnout is a global issue, its Malaysian manifestation is shaped by cultural silence, economic constraints, and limited institutional recognition. If left unaddressed, this silent struggle risks producing a disengaged, exhausted workforce, ill-equipped to drive national progress. Addressing burnout, therefore, is not merely a welfare concern, it is a strategic imperative. A Malaysia that values sustainable growth must first ensure that its young workers are not merely surviving, but genuinely able to live, grow, and thrive.